Good morning. Today is Friday, June 26, 2026 at 9:01 a.m. I now call this Fairfield Township Board of Trustees public hearing special meeting to order. Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Present.
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Here.
Trustee McAbee.
Here.
I'd move to appoint Kim LaPensi as our clerk pro tem.
Second.
Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Yes?
Trustee McAbee.
Yes.
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Yes.
That motion is approved. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Trustee Harkemeyer, will you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just to let the public know, we will be, for procedural purposes, we will be opening up a public hearing, talking about the permissive motor vehicle license plate fees. And during that time, we'll get a presentation from our administrator, and then we will open it up to public comments. And then we will close the public hearing and open up a special meeting where the trustees will take action on that resolution. Okay, so I move to open up the public hearing for permissive motor vehicle license tax hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Yes?
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Yes.
Trustee McAbee.
Here. Yes.
Okay, and that motion passes. We open up the public hearing at 9:03 a.m. Ms. LaPensi?
Okay, thank you all for being here today. So at the last trustees meeting, we talked about doing a proposed $2 or two $5 permissive motor vehicle license fees, which would total $10. So I'll explain our current funding challenges and outline how additional funds would be used, and then we're also here to gather community feedback. So this is just a short version of how our roads are funded. So our current funding sources are that we have road and bridge property taxes. We also have motor vehicle license tax fees. We have gas tax, and then we have county permissive motor vehicle license tax. We also fund paving our roadways with the residential incentive district, which is the RID. But these are not enough to cover long-term infrastructure needs for the township. Our legal authority stems from Ohio Revised Code 4504.181, which allows townships to levy 2 additional $5 license plate fees per registered vehicle. This would apply to the unincorporated areas only of Fairfield Township, and Fairfield Township does not currently collect this tax. We propose enacting this tax to directly support roadway infrastructure. Our current revenue, so in 2025, we received $77,390.44 in permissive motor vehicle license tax, which is 30% of the share of the county's $15 license plate fees. The proposed township $5 permissive motor vehicle license tax would bring us roughly $225,200 annually. Fairfield Township would retain 100% of this new tax. So the revenue per vehicle would rise from $4.50 to $14.50. Here you can see our budget shortfalls. So this is a 5-year projection. So in our Public Works Department, so for 2026, the revenue was $1.4 million, and this was due to a transfer that we made from the general fund to help fund the Public Works Department. So that's why we have an estimated $200,000 in carryover for the year. And as you can see, as you go down to 2031, pretty much the revenue stays flat because with levies, you really don't get any new money. You just get a 1%, maybe you get a little bit of the new construction, but our new construction is kind of winding down and we don't really expect to see any more revenue. But you can see that our expenditures, they're going up 5, 8 to 10% every year. So, I mean, we have increased utilities and we have increased fuel costs and just like everyone else. But by 2031, we will be in the red by $483,000. So our township infrastructure in a snapshot, we have 81 plus miles of roadway that is not on a regular schedule for maintenance. We try like crazy to, make sure that we're paving the roads. Usually you have a 15 to 20 year cycle for road pavement, but we have too many roads and not enough money, and we can't get to that 20-year cycle. We have the third largest road inventory in Butler County. We have deferred paving, and we have deferred stormwater projects, and we have significant curb and gutter deterioration all through the county, or through the township. How our funds will be used. So when it comes to the funds that I mentioned earlier, the only fund that can really pay for public works salaries and benefits would be the Road and Bridge Fund. But all of the other funds I mentioned previously can only pay for capital costs. So what that means is all of these items that are included. So it'd be the asphalt, the salt, the gravel, the coal patch, curb and gutter replacement, storm pipe and jetting systems, road signs, landscaping, utilities, public works tools, equipment and vehicles, and contracted services such as paving and repairs. What this means for the residents, if enacted, the two $5 license plate fees per vehicle in the unincorporated areas would be added during your annual registration. So the total cost of the vehicle would be $14.50 extra when you go to register. But every dollar would stay in Fairfield Township. What this means for the community, it would be safer and smoother roads, faster stormwater response. We would start to replace our aging infrastructure. We would reduce long-term repair costs, and obviously would be a better quality of life and property values for our residents. And here's where we need your input. So we would like to know if you support this initiative, if you have any road or stormwater concerns, or if you have any suggestions for priority projects. We would love to hear from you. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you can go back 2 slides. Yes, I'm sorry, that one there. Go back 3. I think you said total cost per vehicle was $14.50
Extra.
extra.
Yeah.
But I thought it was $10 extra.
Yes, but we get that $4.50 already from the
Yeah.
county.
So total
Yeah.
is $14.50, but it's
Yeah.
only $10 extra.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
I thought you had said it the other way. I want to make sure
Yeah.
that the public understood. Okay.
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, any other questions?
I want to just talk a little bit about what we've done as far as paving goes. We have typically, since I've been a trustee, and others here too have been very supportive of paving. So there were a number of years where we did extra paving. We put extra money from the general fund and from other funds to do accelerated paving, because as Ms. Lepenzi mentioned, we've got 81 road miles. And the problem with that is that roads, by the time we would have money to go back and pave all of those roads, it's years before we can make that complete cycle. To be proactive, the Board of Trustees, and I'm sure we could pull that data, what we've spent on paving over the years.
I do have that.
Okay, fantastic, and that might be something people would be interested in, but we have escalated those costs we've added to that because paving is a hot button for many residents. We want nice roads. We were able to use some of the money that we received during COVID to escalate some of the paving, and the county also gave us some money for paving too. But a lot of that money that we received from those things is not necessarily long-term. It's not going to be coming back. So that has allowed us to put off this for a time. So we put this off, and the concern is that, people want the roads paved, people want roads plowed, and that's kind of what we're looking at.
Trustee McAfee, any comments, questions?
Do we know how quickly we will receive the extra money?
Collections would begin in January of 2027, so we would probably get it in either February or March starting.
It would be, we get a monthly check?
Yep, it's a
from
monthly,
somebody?
yep.
Okay. And, we've used the cash cow TIF for years, and that's going to change drastically in a couple of years. And the RIDs, I was trying to think of when the RIDs
2038,
will expire, so
2038.
we've got a few more years on that. But without additional funding, we'll be driving on dirt roads. And we put this off, in my opinion, as long as we can. I don't want to pay it either, and I might renew mine for 5 years to save $40 per car. Because as we talked about it, any car that's renewed this year, we don't get any money on it, so. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a sign-up sheet? Okay, the first person signed up on this item is Jason. I can't read the handwriting. Purviance?
Jason Proviance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Yep, Jason Proviance, 3606 Milliken Road. Apologies, had a long week, or work second shift, so a little bit tired. So if my thoughts aren't exactly together, apologies for that. I'm not sure that I believe this is the best course of action. I mean, you guys have already mentioned you're going to put the police levy back on the ballot. Fairfield Township is going to put their ballot back, or their levy back on the ballot, asking for more money here. I mean, we're being nickel and dimed. I understand that the TIF is going to run out, the RID's going to run out. We have to come up with our own ways to fund our own budget with the money that we have. I would ask the township to do the same. I'm glad you guys are looking ahead, trying to find ways to fund the township in the future, but I would ask you guys to find a different way, not take it out of our pockets. You guys just mentioned that you take money out of the general fund this past year to cover costs. I would ask, why couldn't that continue? You had mentioned that the residents want nice roads. I want lots of nice things. I have to settle for what I can't afford. Is there any sort of information you guys have of what roads would be nice to be repaved versus what roads have a safety concern that truly do need to be repaved? I understand stormwater in that same vein. What other long-term issue, or what long-term funding have you guys come up with to fund this? Again, without taking it out of voters' pockets. And you had mentioned 15 to 20 years when a company is repaving these. What kind of warranty, what kind of guarantee do you guys have from them, or whoever does it? I'm not clear on that. And if that time comes and goes and there's damage or the work needs to be done, are they being held accountable for their work? And tie it into a couple of things here recently. The voters just passed the fire department's levy. And in the last meeting, you guys had mentioned restricting fire department staffing. I am 100% behind getting the financials for the township in order, making sure that we have a clear vision of what's going to happen in the future. But we just gave the fire department money, and the ask from the trustees right now is to restrict the fire department. So if you guys are going to enact an extra $10 on this, what, I mean, the optics of that, right? We just passed that, and you're asking for restrictions on the fire department. And you guys also brought up the program for the sidewalks, which I am 100% in favor for. I wish this township was more walkable, more biker friendly, especially with the amount of e-bikes that are becoming popular. And I would enjoy having a bicycle path. I think that would be good for the community. But the sidewalk program that you guys had mentioned, I tried to go back and look up what the original costs were. I found one that said it was close to 500,000, and you guys are talking 700,000 now. And that seemed like it was a surprise in the last meeting. So long term, is this $10 even worth covering the cost? There was a dollar amount up there saying we'd be short 400,000. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't remember what you said the total number that this would raise right now.
225.
So we're not even covering that cost. So if this doesn't fix the issue, I would suggest not voting to pass this today and figuring something else out. So, I know we have a lot there. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the next person that was signed up is Craig Kessler.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name's Craig Kessler, and I live at 6042 Spring Lake Drive, right over there in the Lakewood subdivision. Good morning. I want to thank you first off before I give any kind of record for being here, notifying the public at large in our township of the shortfalls that we have. And I know that's not unique to the township. That's an issue that everyone inside our township is facing right now, including our family. So I'm going to start with just who I am. Up until a month ago, I was employed for almost 10 years by an aerospace engineering company. I lost my job as part of a large round of layoffs. So the optics of this for our family is quite profound when it comes to that, because I no longer have a job at this point in time. I'm actively looking, searching, and I'm in a job transition. We have a son with a medical complex special needs and a service dog to go with it. So my background and eyesight on this might be slightly different than some of everybody else here today. So I'm not a fan of adding any extra cost at this point in time. This past May, we had 4 different levy and ballot issues, 2 of which passed, one of which was the police, one of which was the fire department, another was the Butler County DD program, and 2 others that didn't. The subdivision that I'm a part of, they're looking to expand, I believe, and add another 30-plus homes in. That was originally supposed to be done under a rezoning that failed, and as soon as that rezoning failed for that individual and that planner, I believe his name was Donald Dixon, he went and submitted to the Butler County Engineering a different set of plans that just went straight through. And we've seen survey markers go up in their subdivision, and we expect to see additional traffic from that. I'm not going to talk about that, but I know that there's some additional funds that'll be coming in probably from that. This is the second time I've seen the permissive vehicle tax come up in the last 6 to 12 months. This is not the first time I've seen this. The first time I saw this was shot down. I believe actually I spoke to you, Michael, on the phone maybe about 6 to 12 months ago regarding this issue when we saw it come up. And I know I spoke to you then and said, you know, this is going to affect our family. I know $10 per vehicle may not seem like a lot, but our house has 2 vehicles, a motorcycle and a motorhome. 2 of those vehicles I'm looking at potentially selling in the next couple of months if I don't get another job, okay? We've had to tell our son no on a lot of things over the last month to 2 months that we would otherwise say yes to, okay? And these looks like no longer eating out, no longer going to get ice cream, no longer doing those just average things that you would like to do as a family. that's affecting us. And so if we add another $10 per vehicle at the 4 I have, I'm looking at $40 per year in increase in cost. I know that may not sound like a lot to you. Gas prices are high right now. We've all seen them. We've all been affected by them. The police levy is going to come back on the ballot in another couple of months. I have not seen any plans right now on what road miles are critically in danger. There's no information here. It just says we have a budget downfall, which I get. And I know that we have a lot of road miles, 81 according to the slides that was presented just a few minutes ago. But if we're in a need of them, we should be identifying and prioritizing and phasing them in that manner. I would love to see some of that here. I don't see that. All I see is we're short. We need the money. We need to resurface the roads and plow them. But there's no clear plan as to which roads need to be done first. If we're saying they're bad, then all of them are bad? Just a few bad? Just a few of the road miles? Where are the problems and pain points at? We can target those specific areas potentially and develop a plan to pinpoint certain areas over others. And I've not seen that this morning. I appreciate the information that you're giving us and the downfalls and what the projections look like. But I wanted to share that with you. In closing, I'm not going to be a fan of adding any additional costs that will affect our residents at this point in time. I have come from the west side of Cincinnati. The roads there are in much worse shape than here. I have been in some areas where we've had much, much worse roads, and we've been dealing it for many years. Does it stink? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. I would rather have fire department and police show up if I call 911 than have to worry about a road. You know, that's my 2 cents there. So in closing, that's kind of where I want to go with that. And I'm not really a fan of it at this point in time. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing. I appreciate that. I know this is a hard thing for you all to do. You guys have a wonderful morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
Yep.
Next person that signed up was Bryce Yeager.
Probably be able to hear me without the mic. Just to understand, okay, each vehicle will be.
I'm sorry, Mr. Yeager, if you speak your name and address for the record.
Boyce Yeager. I live at 6674 Creekside Way, Fairfield Township. Retired. Know Joe for a long time. Did basketball. And I remember meeting you at some point, young lady. My biggest question was just to get it's $10 per vehicle, and then there's another $450 that goes with the county. Is that what that is?
Existing.
So you get that already. Okay. All right. So I understand that. Now, areas like the shopping centers and stuff, are they covered under this also, or do they have to pave their own places? You know what I mean? They're in the township, like where the Walmart, Kohl's and all that. Okay.
Some of those are private roads.
Some of those are private roads, so you don't. So they're the ones that's supposed to do that. Okay. So do you have any input for them doing that? Because you know, if they have some bad places, that hurts your car. You mess up roads other places. So do you guys have anything to do with that, or they have to do that?
Mr. Goins, I think you often have communication with those institutions about their roads or their driveways or private roads. So while we don't specifically repair them, we do discuss that with them.
Correct. Right. Okay.
They don't move as fast as we'd like for them to, but we can't fix them, and they are theirs. That intersection there behind the bank, you know, the back way into Walmart is just terrible.
Okay.
And apparently there's 2 or 3 different groups that own parts of that. But the main roads that we take care of, Morris, we don't do Milliken, we don't do Tylersville, we don't do Hamilton Mason, but we do the Morris Road, we do section of Vintage, Tooley Road, and then all the residential roads that you see cul-de-sacs, all those neighborhood roads are ours,
Okay,
and that kind of thing.
all right. That's all I need to know, thanks.
Thank you. All right, no one else signed up for public hearing. Would any of the trustees like to address anything that was brought up today?
I would recommend just some follow-up questions. We do have a paving plan. It wasn't presented today, but maybe you can get with Ms. Lepenzi or Mr. Goins to talk about like the process for that. And you had some questions too. You could probably follow up with Mr. Goins or Ms. Lepenzi after the meeting to get some clarity for the questions.
And we do evaluate the roads on a regular basis to decide which ones need to be done. And as I stated the other night, we're more likely to pave the road carrying the most traffic before we do that, 6 houses on a cul-de-sac. And of course, we catch grief about that from the people that live on that short cul-de-sac, but that's just the way it is. Back in the good old days, we could do a mile for $50,000. We can't do that anymore. Price of gas, petroleum affects everything we do on the roads. I don't even know. It's probably closer to $100,000 to do a road. Some of our roads don't have the storm and gutters, so those are a little cheaper because we don't have to fix the concrete and things like that. But there is some method to the madness that we've been doing, and we've tried just about, well, actually, we've tried everything we can. The only alternative we have would be another property tax. Put a $500,000 on, and that was part of my question a year ago when we debated this, and we didn't have a real number. We were estimating somewhere around $100,000, which wasn't enough then, and I said that. But a $500,000 would generate $350,000, $400,000, but again, that's on the property tax. So, we opted not to do that because of some of the reasons you guys are talking about. But those are our two choices. Add something on the license fee where every car pays to drive on the road versus put another property tax on and then you pay it by the millage. Neither one of them are great choices, and that's why we haven't done it in the past. But we're at a point now where, and we're fortunate as a township. I mean, we have RID money, TIF money, and we have the JED money, but our general fund has continued to go down, and while we're not saving that for any other rainy day other than normal work that we have to do and need to do, it's down to where we're all very concerned about it. So from that standpoint, I don't think we have any other choice. And you're right, it's not enough, but at least we can do another, 2 miles a year to try to do that and try to have a regular maintenance program. You never know what's going to happen with the roads. Some of the roads are without the curb and gutter. We've got drainage issues right now. Those have to be addressed for safety. So we're at this point and we need to take some action.
Also, someone brought up the fact that we did have a recent fire levy, and there's been some things out on social media that in our last meeting we cut personnel, and that's just simply not true. First of all, we don't start collecting that levy tax until 2027, January, but we won't receive any of those funds until April.
We don't get the money until
We
April.
don't get April, and so obviously we can't spend in 2026 that we don't get until 2027. And what we did the other day was just explain to our fire department that we need to cut back a little bit on all the overtime that is being spent. I think we're on track to spend $500,000 in overtime in the fire department. So we were just asking them to try to cut that back a little bit. We weren't cutting any jobs. We're fully in support of our fire department and look forward to the day we start collecting those levy funds to help get them fully staffed again.
And we paid that and we're continuing to pay that out of the general fund.
Yes.
They don't have the money to do that either.
Correct.
So
Which takes away from our roads.
It takes away from everything else.
Which takes away from our
Exactly.
police, which takes away from
Right,
central
right.
staff.
We transferred 2.9 million to the fire, and that was to the detriment of some of the other departments. And we did that because they're important, and all we did was ask them, please be very prudent with your overtime. Because that general fund, we worked very hard to get that built up. And why is the general fund important? Let's talk about that for a minute. If our general fund drops below a certain level, Moody's, the rating agency, can downgrade Fairfield Township. I think now we're a AAA, it's, right, which is a very good bond rating. Why does that matter? Well, when we go to take debt because we probably don't have the cash for certain things, if we go to take debt to, say, remodel the fire department over there, which is leaking and has lots of issues, we will have a higher interest rate, which will cost us more money. And I don't want that. I don't even really want to take debt, but if we have to, I'd like to get the lowest interest rate possible. So that's why one reason why preserving a good balance in our general fund is important. The other reason is that if, say, something catastrophic happens in Fairfield Township and we don't have the ability to collect some things, this will help us to make it so that Fairfield Township can continue on with our services and with the things that we provide. So having a healthy general fund is very, very important. So it pained me greatly to transfer that $2.9 million over to the fire department. And I expect them to be very prudent and frugal with that money, especially given the fact that it impacts what we can do in the police department and with our roads department.
Any other comment that was made, while we do want our residents to have nice roads to drive on, we don't pave them to make them nice. We pave them to keep them together. I mean, we are repaving roads when they are falling apart. When there's so many cracks, it makes more sense to repave them than try to just fill every single crack. And even after we fill every single crack, that only lasts a short amount of time. It's more of a Band-Aid. We do need to repave those roads. So we don't do them to make them nice. We do them to make them passable. And we have to also protect our investment in our vehicles, our safety service vehicles, our salt trucks, things like that, for those roads. So we don't want those roads coming apart and ruining our vehicles, just like it was brought up about shopping center and how bad those roads got. We don't want our roads to be that way. So, and that's why we really rely on our public works director to show and to show the trustees what roads he's recommending to be paved. We go out there with him. He shows us what needs to be done. For many years, he showed us more roads that need to be paved than we've actually funded, just because we just didn't have the money. And so we're really kind of behind the ball right now with our paving. We're hoping to catch up a little bit this year, but we're still going to be behind on where we should be. So,
81. We have 81 road miles in the township. We have, I would just get with Mr. Goins and he can review with you what our paving plan is. So. Well, if we really wanted to cover it, we'd put as Trustee McAbey mentioned, we'd put $500,000 out there and that would cover it. But that's not what this board wants to do right now.
Right.
We would prefer not to do that. We would prefer not to ask that question because that's a lot. That's quite a lot.
what this will allow us to do is spend less of the general fund money on our road projects and we can try to build that back up that we spent on the fire and police and roads. And so that definitely will help offset some of the added expense, and the fact that we did get behind is will allow us to catch back up a little bit by having these extra funds.
That's true.
And one last question I forgot to ask. Are there any vehicles that are exempt?
Anytime you register, anything that's in the township and you register it in the township, you would have to pay that $10 extra. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Yep, it includes everything. Anytime you renew a license plate, it'll be on it.
Okay, any further discussion from the board?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second? Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey?
Yes.
Trustee Birding?
Yes.
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes.
That motion passes. We have closed the public hearing. I now call the special meeting to order. Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll?
Trustee Birding?
Still here?
Trustee Harkemaier?
Here.
Trustee McAbey?
Here.
Okay, we've already done the pledge today, and so we'll just move into any further discussion on the resolution before we call for a vote. Okay, Ms. LaPensi, can we have the first resolution, please?
Resolution 2665 is a resolution authorizing the levy of a township motor vehicle license tax pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 4504.18.
Motion to adopt?
Second, any further comments or discussion?
I do want to say that this is something that the Board of Trustees could have done years ago. This has always been an option for us, and we could have done this at any point. I know within many, many recent years, and we chose not to do this until we absolutely had to.
And if we find a windfall of money, we can always take it back off.
Well, and that's something that we did, 3 years ago? There were some extra monies available, and it was with the whole property tax, and there were some things collected in countywide. And we were one of, there's 13 townships, and 2 townships gave money back to citizens. I think it was like $100,000, something along those lines. Does anyone remember what that was? It was about that. But we actually,
The inside millage.
the inside millage,
Yep.
we gave back that money to citizens. So we have a history of when it happened. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have done that because we would have had more money with that now, but we did do that to try and give a little bit of relief back to our citizens.
Well, we really didn't give it back, we just didn't collect it.
Well, there you go. But that's what we
Same
did.
same difference to the property owners.
Right, but we did
Exactly.
do that to the
Exactly.
property owners to give that back. And I don't think a lot of people realize that we did that, but we do what we can when we can.
I know there was a comment also this morning that we should try to find alternate sources of revenue instead of going to the residents. Unfortunately, as a government, that's our only way that we can generate revenue is to ask our citizens to do that. We did a special project with the pickleball courts where we sought individual donations for that, a one-time expense. So we were able to get enough residents and local businesses to donate enough money for us to renovate the pickleball or renovate the tennis courts to add pickleball courts. So no township dollars were spent on that project. So, but this is just something for year to year to year. We have to ask our residents for help. Okay, Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey?
Yes.
Trustee Birding?
Yes.
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes.
And that resolution is adopted. Announcement, the 4th of July holiday is observed on Friday, July 3rd, so all township offices will be closed. And our regular trustee meeting will be July 14th at 7 p.m. right here in the administration building. At this time, I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second?
Ms. LaPensi, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding?
Yes?
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes.
Trustee McAbey?
Yes.
And that motion is adopted. We adjourn at 9:40 a.m. Thank you all very much for coming out.
And the only other thing I thought of, we do apply for grants as often as we can. We just received a grant to study Princeton Road and see what needs to happen over there. So we're always looking through OKI or through ODOT for money. It's still our money, right? Taxpayers' money. But we're always looking for ways to cut our costs or subsidize what needs to happen in the township. So I should have said that on the record, but